Hey everyone, tonight we dive into the surprisingly well-documented yet often misunderstood daily life of Roman prostitutes. Before you settle in, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe if you enjoy my content. Drop a comment to let me know where you're watching from and what time it is there. It's always amazing to connect with viewers worldwide. Now, grab a drink, dim the lights, and let's step into ancient Rome together. You wake up, or rather, you come to, in a cramped, windowless cell, barely big enough to turn around in without bumping into a wall. Welcome to your home office, the ancient Roman equivalent of a work-from-home setup, if your home was a closet and your job involved body oil. These tiny chambers, standard for many of Rome's working women, were located in brothels, lupanars, above taverns, or near bathhouses. Think of it as a studio apartment designed by someone allergic to light, air, or personal space. Your bed is a straw-filled mattress, likely shared with fleas and reeking faintly of wine, sweat, and broken dreams. If you're fortunate, you have a small oil lamp. If you're really fortunate, it hasn't been stolen. Your possessions, a bit of cheap makeup, a comb, maybe a bronze mirror if business has been good, are tucked into a corner as weary as you are. There's no running water, no plumbing, just a bucket you try not to dwell on. Bathing? That's a group activity at the public bathhouse later, where the water is shared, and so is the awkward eye contact. Your room doubles as your workplace, and business hours start whenever someone knocks, barges in, or shouts through the flimsy curtain that passes for a door. Privacy is a fantasy here. Walls are more like suggestions. Your day begins with a quick cleanup, sweeping out dust, wine stains, or stray sandals left by last night's clients. Then, it's time to prepare. You apply face powder, rouge, and enough perfume to double as a fire hazard. The goal isn't to smell pleasant, but to outscent the guy behind you. You practice a sultry smirk in your bronze mirror, not because it's effective, but because it keeps you sane. Once, a client called you vaguely charming, and you're still riding that high. In this tiny cell, every day starts the same. Cramped, rushed, and with just enough pride to get you through to lunch. Hygiene in ancient Rome is a challenge. Private bathrooms are for the elite, and even they use glorified pots. As a working woman in a city that adores marble statues but tolerates open sewers, your options are a quick rinse at a public fountain or a trip to the bathhouse. At the fountain, you splash water on your face, maybe rinse your mouth with wine if you're feeling fancy, and pray the water wasn't used to wash a chicken earlier. Soap is non-existent, but you might have natron, a gritty powder that scrubs your skin and your dignity. If business is slow and you have a few coins, you might treat yourself to the public baths, the great Roman equalizer, where merchants, soldiers, and loud philosophers share tepid water and floating toenails. You undress, stash your belongings in a niche you trust too much, and wade into the communal pool. In the steam room, you scrape your skin with a strigil, a curved metal blade, enjoying a fleeting moment as the cleanest person on your street, a title that lasts about 5 minutes. Back to your room, you reapply perfume, add chalky face powder, rouge, and kohl eyeliner to mask the exhaustion. Clients don't want to see the woman who's already dealt with 3 senators and a sailor by noon. They want mystery, allure, and someone who doesn't smell like stale lentils. Now it's time to dress. Roman fashion carried heavy social cues, and for prostitutes, the outfit was unmistakable, the toga. Unlike the stola, the layered dress of respectable matrons, prostitutes were legally required to wear a toga, short, colorful, and flashy, screaming "available for hire" across the forum. Paired with cheap bronze or glass jewelry and loud earrings, the look prioritized visibility over elegance. Sandals, or sometimes bare feet, completed the ensemble, as comfort took a backseat to survival. You might curl or dye your hair, perhaps donning a blonde wig from Gaul for that exotic appeal. With pale face powder, red lips, and thick eyeliner, you look bold and unmistakable. Your outfit is your business card in a city of 1 million people. Business in ancient Rome wasn't subtle. If you worked in a lupanar, you stood in the doorway, calling out to passersby with flirty promises and time-sensitive deals. 2 denarii, quick service. Freelancers roamed temples, taverns, or markets, catching eyes before a matron caught her husband. The most creative marketing? Wall graffiti. Pompeii's brothels were covered in reviews like "Maritimus was here, best night ever," or "Felicia, 2 denarii, fast service." Some women paid for their names to be scrawled on tavern walls. Others let clients do the advertising, ranging from glowing praise to cryptic complaints. Survival depended on visibility. Your name, rates, and enthusiasm had to stand out in a crowded market. Pricing was a free-for-all, dictated by supply, demand, and your ability to negotiate before someone offered stale bread instead of coins. Street workers might charge 1 or 2 asses, a bronze coin worth less than a glass of wine. High-end courtesans, or meretrices, could demand silver denarii for their charm, conversation, or niche skills like poetry or dance. If you worked for a pimp or brothel owner, they took a hefty cut. Enslaved women saw no pay, just food, shelter, and vague promises of freedom. In the lupanar, a sweaty maze of tiny rooms with stone beds and thin curtains, you worked alongside others under the watchful eye of a Leno or Lena, who pocketed profits while promising repairs that never came. Clients ranged from nervous teens to senators claiming philosophical visits. Downtime meant flirting at the entrance, dodging hecklers, and reading graffiti reviews etched into the walls. Tavern work was less structured but no less chaotic. Surrounded by drunk soldiers, merchants, and dice games, you poured watered-down wine, flirted just enough to keep coins flowing, and dodged unwanted gropes. The air smelled of cabbage, fish sauce, and despair, but you could upsell a client with a smile and a compliment. Your toga looks clean. Freelancers, or Pr0stitutes, worked the streets, navigating alleys, bathhouse entrances, and temple steps. Dressed in bright tunics and wigs, you competed with dozens of others, relying on charm, wits, and the occasional sprint from bad clients or moralists. Taxes added insult to injury. The Vectigal ex capturis, a state-sanctioned tax, meant even your worst nights funded Rome's aqueducts. You registered with the aediles, joining an official list of sex workers, sometimes branded with marks like lupa to ensure you couldn't pass as respectable. Rates varied by client and region, but non-payment could mean fines or arrest. Despite legal tolerance, society judged harshly. Senators, priests, and matrons condemned you publicly while visiting discreetly. Writers like Juvenal mocked you in verse, yet their detailed accounts suggested more than casual observation. Health risks were ever present. Venereal diseases described in texts as itching or worse were treated with vinegar, herbs, or prayers. Pregnancy was a constant worry, managed with crude contraceptives like silphium or wool tampons. Some women raised children in brothels, others faced abandonment or infanticide. Depression and trauma were unspoken companions, soothed by wine, fellow workers, or stray cats. Religion offered solace, offerings to Venus for charm, Fortuna for luck, or Mercury for profit. Superstitions, like burning incense or cursing rivals via deficciones, were common survival tactics. Love was a risky proposition. Clients often claimed affection, usually after too much wine, but legal barriers prevented marriage for most. Bonds with fellow workers offered real connection, sometimes blossoming into quiet romances hidden from Roman patriarchy. Aging out meant adapting. Some saved enough to open taverns, others became maidens or fortune-tellers. Many kept working, marketing experience over youth. For those with no savings, survival meant begging or temple cleaning. Yet every day survived was a victory, etched in graffiti and whispered in Rome's streets. Viking healers, masters of herbal medicine. In the Viking world, healers, or Leiknir, were vital to survival, blending herbal knowledge with Norse spirituality. Yarrow, Achillea millefolium, was a cornerstone, its crushed leaves staunching wounds and preventing infection. Applied as a poultice or brewed into tea, it eased fevers and menstrual cramps, its sacred ties to Odin adding ritual weight. Angelica archangelica, fought infections with its antiseptic roots, used in salves or teas for wounds, fevers, or childbirth. Its spiritual significance made it a purifier in smoke rituals. Birch sap, tapped in spring, restored energy after long winters, rich in minerals, and paired with cooling herbs like meadowsweet for fevers. Junipers, berries, and smoke cleansed infections and spaces, used in teas or burned for spiritual protection. Meadowsweet, Filipendula ulmaria, with its aspirin-like compounds, soothed pain and inflammation, while mugwort, Artemisia vulgaris, calmed nerves and aided childbirth, its smoke invoking visions in rituals. Garlic, traded from afar, fought infections and parasites, its pungent scent warding off evil. Nettle, Urtica dioica, rich in nutrients, boosted vitality and relieved joint pain through urtication. Viking healers, often women, passed down knowledge orally, blending practical remedies with rituals to Frigg or Freya. Their work restored balance between body, spirit, and nature, a legacy echoing in modern herbalism. Joan of Arc, from peasant to saint. Born in 1412 in Domremy, Joan grew up in a war-torn France, raised by devout peasants. At 13, she heard divine voices, St. Michael, St. Catherine, and St. Margaret, urging her to save France and crown the Dauphin. At 16, she convinced a local commander to escort her to Charles, navigating 300 miles of enemy territory. In 1429, she identified Charles in disguise, earning his trust. Leading troops to lift the Orleans siege, she inspired victory, then secured Charles II's coronation at Reims. Her attempt to liberate Paris failed, and in 1430 she was captured at Compiègne, sold to the English, and tried as a heretic in Rouen. Despite eloquent defenses, she was burned at the stake in 1431 at 19. Exonerated in 1456, she was canonized in 1920, her legacy as a warrior saint enduring. Medieval bakers feeding a society. Medieval bakers rose before dawn, kneading sourdough by lamplight in brick ovens heated by roaring fires. Using wooden troughs, peels, and coarse flour, they crafted manchet for nobles, ravel for townsfolk, and maslin for the poor. Guilds enforced strict standards, with inspectors ensuring fair weights to prevent riots. Fire risks loomed, bakehouses could ignite towns, but women often led rural baking, selling loaves for income. The church elevated bread's sanctity, using unleavened hosts for the Eucharist and distributing alms bread. Bread was power, its price and supply tied to stability. Bakers, though rarely celebrated, fed communities, their legacy in every shared leaf.